There's always been something about the PS2 and Xbox era of gaming that makes it so comfy and always worth revisiting. And I've lost count the amount of times I've just had the hankering to pop in a 20-something-year-old game and play through it. If only for 20 or 30 minutes just to recapture that feeling of a bygone generation. It was the period where we truly had some of the all-time greatest games ever made, and also, without a doubt, some of the wackiest and most controversial.
2, 4, 6, 8, you suck, I'm great.
You've got to remember that this was during the whole prime jackass era, where every douchebag with a camcorder or flip phone with a built-in video mode thought it was funny to film their mates jumping off rooftops or kicking each other in the nuts. So it does make sense that that kind of energy and culture manifested into the gaming scene. Which was also why this period was where gaming seemed to be aiming for a more mature adult tone. It's when we had games like Grand Theft Auto 3, Manhunt, State of Emergency, or on the wackier side of things, stuff like Backyard Wrestling and BMX XXX. And one series in particular based its entire premise on this tone alone, and that's the Outlaw series developed by Hypnotics. Yeah, creators of the highly coveted Dear Avenger series, along with the modern classic Panty Raider. Anyway, all up, there was 4 main games in total: Outlaw Golf 1 and 2, Outlaw Volleyball, and then finally Outlaw Tennis. All of course not to be confused with the awesome Outlaws, the seminally underrated first-person shooter. And seeing as Halloween is just around the corner and there's nothing scarier than going back and playing games in 480p, I thought it might be worth playing through these and seeing how they all stack up. I mean, how bad could it be? Right, so the first game in the series is Outlaw Golf, released in 2002 for the Xbox and the GameCube, along with a PS2 and a PC port later on in 2003. And as far as golf sims go, it's pretty basic, with 3 courses with 18 holes and 10 golfers to choose from, most of which have to be unlocked beforehand, and all of which fit into some kind of broad stereotype.
That ball was crap!
For the blokes, there's characters like El Suave, a self-confessed ladies' man. And then all the female characters have these absurd proportions, skimpy outfits, and look like they could suck a watermelon through a garden hose. With characters like Summer the stripper, Harley the booze-swilling biker, and Trixie the rich, spoiled daddy's little princess archetype.
Trixie's handicap is her mouth.
And all of these having exactly the kind of outfits you'd expect.
Yes, now we can cause some pain.
And look, I appreciate the sentiment. I mean, if I've got the option of staring at a man or a woman's ass the entire time, well, then it's pretty obvious what I'm going to be going with.
What a shot! Can't hit it much harder than that!
More than that though, each golfer has their own unique stats for distance, accuracy, composure, and control. And this is a feature that comes back in one form or another for pretty much every game in the series, with the unlockable characters being far superior to these initial ones.
Ow! That ball just got spelled wrong.
Either way though, as a first entry, it's solid enough, and has the bonus of surprisingly in-depth golfing mechanics through all of the additional content you can unlock, to the point that it actually shocked me. I mean, yeah, I was shocked.
There you go.
Now, I'm not going to explain the rules of golf. I mean, I think most people know the gist of it to begin with. Having said that though, you don't really need to be an expert on it to be able to play this either. The basic controls are pretty simple. You choose your club, and then where your ball's going to roughly land based off that. Then when you're ready to tee off, you pull the right thumbstick back to charge up a shot before moving it forward as straight as possible to hit it. If you move the stick a little bit off to the right or the left, you'll hook or slice it accordingly.
Slice-a-roni, baby!
Time it just right and you'll even smack the absolute buggery out of it and send it into the goddamn shadow realm. Plus, you've also got to consider wind speed and direction, the gradient of each course as well, not to mention the way the ball's going to roll when landing, so it's a lot more than just hitting it away in the general direction of the hole and hoping for the best. All of this is carried along with play-by-play commentary by Steve Carell, who plays the part of the announcer, and hearing him in this old cult Xbox game is definitely kind of surreal.
Kapow! Looks like someone's using a cannon for a club.
This was before Bruce Almighty, Anchorman, or The Office even existed. But even still, like, you can really tell the guy's giving it his all, and some of his commentary is genuinely funny to listen to, even if you do hear those same few remarks over and over.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's a perfect example of how to slice a golf ball.
It all kind of reminds me of watching a show like MXC, with these constant and fast-paced one-liners combined with all the instant replays and reactions from the golfers.
Oh, Yola, look at that Wonder Woman, yo.
It's just missing Guy Ledouche and Captain Tennille.
Let's go!
Steve often also makes these really inappropriate remarks, and it's all about as politically incorrect as writing could ever be, but then again, that's also part of the charm. It also goes a long way in making the game a lot less frustrating, because this is truly one of those things where it's easy to pick up, but really hard to master. And even after playing for like 4 or 5 hours, I was still messing up my shots all the time, and sending balls off into the stratosphere accidentally.
Watch out, that ball isn't stopping anytime soon.
Son of a bitch, ball, why didn't you just go home?
To the point where I often started to question the physics, especially when a ball lands on the green, because it's like the grass is covered in ice or something, and there's more rolls going on here than at a tumbler meter. Where it starts to get even more in-depth is when you start unlocking all the different kinds of clubs, along with all those different ball types, which affects things even more, modifying parameters like shot distance and accuracy.
That way. Sure.
Then even more than that is the whole composure mechanic, which is about the most true-to-life feature I've ever seen in a golf sim. Basically, the way this works is that the better or the worse you play, the more it affects your performance, and if there's a better example of a video game capturing what it feels like to suck at golf in real life, well, I've yet to see it. So making shots that land on the fairway or on the green earns you more composure points, whereas landing in the rough or losing your ball entirely obviously drops it.
Well, folks, things are not looking rosy.
If it's in the red, then theoretically that means you'll slice and hook the ball more often and just make worse plays compared to if it was in the green. It does become pretty hard to ascertain what's causing it at times. I mean, if all the fuck-ups are the player's own errors, or a result of this artificial composure system which is messing around with the basic controls. Or it could even just be one of the golfers you're playing as, because some of them really are about as useful as a condom machine in the Vatican. Either way though, the only way to quickly increase your mood here is to beat the ever-loving shit out of your caddy, which is a side character that's unique to each golfer. Now this is a really fast-paced minigame where you have to time these button presses for each hit, with there being 5 in total. And if you can magically make all of these, it instantly improves your mood to its fullest.
Hey, as long as there's no internal bleeding, that caddy will be just fine.
It's easy enough to get the hang of, though it does kind of feel like the timing is half a second or so off where it needs to be, and you almost need to press the button before the icons are even in alignment. Still though, it's pretty entertaining stuff, and nothing says humour more than laughing at people getting physically assaulted. My favourite's probably the one for the Asian mistress, Suki, whose caddy is a guy dressed up in leather, basically cosplaying the Gimp from Pulp Fiction.
Talk about beating the tar out of someone. I could re-roof my house after that beating.
Summer, on the other hand, just has a good old-fashioned cat fight with her bestie.
You want a cat fight, bitch?
I am smack dab in the middle of a good old-fashioned catfight.
And then Harley beats up her caddy so specifically that it almost feels like someone self-inserting their own fetish.
Now there's a caddy who's earning his pay.
But that's really the best part of the game, is playing around with all these unlockables and seeing the unique personalities all these golfers bring to the table. Along with unlocking, of course, all these various outfits like shirts, dresses, jeans, and jackets.
Gold jacket, green jacket, who gives a shit?
Which, therein also lies the problem, because unlocking all of this stuff is done by playing and beating all of these tours. Now, tours are preset matches with specific rules, with there being 15 in total, and the difficulty for some of these is absolutely insane. And I say that because no matter how well you play here, the AI always seems to be just that little bit better. Whenever they're putting, they almost never miss, and they're always getting a birdie, if not just making par on each hole.
Good putt. Dropped in the cup and stopped at the bottom of it.
So you more or less have to have these perfect games to even beat them, which isn't really possible, unless you know every single course better than I know the dimples in your mum's ass cheeks. And it's just kind of frustrating because all of this extra content is hidden behind this mode.
That ball had a little too much heat on it.
As a sort of a side gig to help you out there, you've got the Outlaw range, which is a bunch of different drills to complete that then lets you upgrade a golfer's basic stats. But even then, you've still got to outplay the AI regardless. And after the 10th or so time you see them sink this really difficult putt with complete ease, it's going to really make you question if the whole thing's even worth it. Just thank God there's a cheat code which unlocks everything from the get-go, because you can miss me with that shit, man, if you think I'm going to sit there getting all of this stuff piece by piece.
Yes! You are so lucky to be in my presence.
Outlaw Golf really feels like the kind of game that you're supposed to be playing with friends. And when I say that, I mean the kind of friends who like to get blackout drunk and draw dicks on each other's faces. But I mean, having said that though, I was surprised at how much I still enjoyed playing it solo, even if I almost threw my controller through the window a few times here and there.
Hey, you want these?
Still though, far from a bad game, and they even released a couple of standalone expansions for it as well, with Holiday Golf and the 9 Holes of Xmas. But where they took the series from here though is where it starts to get interesting.
Is anyone noticing how friggin' great I am? Other than those 2 jerk-offs in the front row?
Because from this point, Hypnotics followed it up with an entirely different sport, with Outlaw Volleyball in 2003. Released for the Xbox exclusively, eventually getting a re-release for the PS2 in 2004 with a so-called remixed edition. And look, I don't know who was onto the idea first, but you can't help but compare this thing to Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball, with both games even releasing months apart. Another similarly themed game that has scantily clad women of questionable moral fibre running around on hot sand with their swimsuits wedged up their ass crack. And that game, along with a music video for Tim Deluxe's It Just Won't Do, is absolutely to blame for a generation of young men not taking the sport of beach volleyball seriously. That and the Rio Olympics.
It's true, but he shouldn't say it.
Now, much like Outlaw Golf, there is a whole heap of wacky characters here to play as, with even more stuff to unlock, with there now being 16 different players to choose from and 10 different courts to play on. Some of which are just outright novelty themed, like there's one set in the middle of an Arctic base.
Welcome to the ice box!
There's one in a graveyard, and another one in the sewers in New Jersey, which is probably full of half-digested gabagool.
Gabagool. Over here.
Steve Carell returns again to do all the commentary, and they absolutely take those racial stereotypes to a new level here. The best example of that is with the Native American and the Russian character, Shawnee and Natasha. The former who walks around in what I guess is supposed to be a traditional getup, well, as traditional as it would be in a Brazzers video, and Natasha being more or less like a female version of Dolph Lundgren, a giant Amazonian beast of a woman that drinks vodka and does hanging ab curls. There's new characters too, like Lizzie, a foul-mouthed, alcoholic young British woman, so yeah, just British women in general. Along with returning champions Summer, Harley, and old mate Killer Miller. But because I'm a man of culture, I usually choose to play as one of those fine, upstanding females.
What the hell am I talking about?
And they all have those kind of animations that would always seem to come on whenever your mum or dad walked into the room. You can customize all these outfits much further now too, with there being top and bottom options, along with just more outfits to begin with. So, in terms of the base content and the bang for your buck, this whole thing's really hard to fault.
So fire up the old gas grill, unfold that lounge chair, and get the mailman off your wife! Cause it's time for some volleyball!
As a volleyball game though, you know, where it matters most, it's remarkably honed and well made too. Similar to Outlaw Golf, where it's easy to pick up and play, but hard to master. This time you use either the A, X or B button to hit the ball, with the X button used to bounce the ball around your side of the net, before you then use the A button to spike it, and choose the direction it's going to land by aiming the left thumbstick. Serving is also done by aiming with the thumbstick in the direction you want to send it, and then charging it up with one of the aforementioned buttons.
Let's get ready to serve it!
When the turbo meter's full, you can hold down the right trigger to charge up a turbo hit, smashing that ball with even more power.
Way to go!
Yeah, it's a simple enough system which takes maybe like half an hour or so to come to grips with, and then immediately feels like second nature, to the point that you'll be spiking bitches in no time. Wait, that sounded wrong.
Whoa, now there's a winner!
It also seems that it's more or less impossible to actually hit the ball out of bounds here, and I reckon I can count the amount of times I did this on one hand. So it's this really smooth and seamless control scheme, and being able to watch all the replays and hear the characters' reactions at the end of certain rallies is again really entertaining.
Man, that was a close game! Nah, I'm just kidding.
The issue is that, again, unlocking all of this extra content is done through these events, similar to the tours in Outlaw Golf, which is really the main meat of the game. And it's against some really crushing AI opponents that are absolutely ruthless, not to mention godlike athletically. I mean, the amount of times the AI makes these impossible saves and manages to somehow magically return the ball to your side of the court is just insane.
Bullshit!
Seems to be something they'll also do regardless of the difficulty mode you're playing on, and it's just kind of demotivating to see them turn into the John Wicks of the beach volleyball circuit.
What are you waiting for? You're faster than this.
Instead of beating up your teammates, you can choose to hop onto the other side of the net and fight one of your opponents, which is a mostly button mashing affair where you just try to knock them out before they do the same.
Don't cry, at least I didn't put a saddle on you.
And I have no idea how this is all supposed to work, because sometimes the AI beats the living shit out of me in seconds, but then other times it's like they just stand there begging to be put out of their misery.
Thank you for allowing my fist to dance with your face.
But even then, after pushing their shit in, they can still defy the laws of nature and return the ball in completely inhuman ways. So it kind of makes me wonder what purpose that mode serves at all.
I rock you like a hurricane!
This was actually something that turned me off about that Dead or Alive volleyball game as well. How these oiled up bimbos had these ridiculous reflexes and turned what really should have just been a fun dress up experience with a volleyball game on the side into this absolutely hardcore battle royale. All up, there's 50 tours to get through in total, and even the easy ones can take anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes to beat, to even upwards of 20 or 30, assuming you're even going to beat them all first try, which is unlikely. Some of these are also just really annoying in concept alone, like one of them called Hot Potato makes it so that the ball is on a random timer and then explodes after a certain amount of time, which is literal RNG.
Holy cow, it's like the 4th of July!
Another game mode drops bundles of dynamite on the court whenever a point is lost, and this is just outright handicapping that losing side even more.
That point does not go in the win column.
The option again to give yourself a helping handy is by completing all these drills. Those side games where you complete a series of specific tasks to then artificially improve a character's basic stats. Not only do these give you those much needed incremental upgrades, but they also help you hone your skills in specific areas when it comes to serving and spiking. But look, here's the thing. No one is playing Outlaw Volleyball as a serious volleyball game. Much in the same way you don't watch MXC for the actual sports commentary, or Naked Gun as if it's some kind of serious police crime drama. You play to see all these scantily clad ladies hopping around in the sand, and listen to politically incorrect dialogue that's aged about as well as a carton of milk that's been kept behind a microwave. So having to be at all these needlessly challenging and drawn out events just because it's gatekeeping all of the fun stuff isn't my idea of a good time. I'll just say that thankfully, yet again, some genius at Hypnotics was clever enough to include a cheat code that unlocks every single thing from the start. And whoever you are, if you're watching, you're the real MVP.
Thank you. I will now share with you the words of a true champion.
So again, yeah, a solid enough sports sim that's just slightly mired by a time-consuming unlockable system.
Oh, now there's a winner. Mind you, I'm talking about the shot, not the player.
After this, Hypnotics went back to their roots again with Outlaw Golf 2, released in 2004, and interestingly, the first time one of these games doesn't have Steve Carell doing the commentary. This time it's comedian Dave Attell instead, who kinda sounds like Steve Carell if you've got sawdust in your ears and mumble his name a few times.
Damn, that ball was hit so hard it should press assault charges.
Apart from that though, the core of the game is more or less the same as the first one, with the controls even being near identical, just with a whole heap of new stuff added in. So not only is there over double the amount of courses to play through, but also a lot more golfers to choose from, and even more of a focus on the training modes to hone your skills. And yeah, these are really going to push you to your limits, and even some of the first stages can be really hard to beat. Like launching explosive golf balls at cows standing around in a field, or trying to chip balls into various buckets. One of them doesn't even involve hitting balls and has you driving around an obstacle course in a golf cart, which feels like something out of an entirely different game. I got stuck on the first putting challenge for like half an hour because this one is more or less completely randomized, and I just had to keep retrying it until the game eventually took pity on me. Plus, even the basic driving range can be really challenging, almost requiring some of those unlockable clubs, which are like objectively better and let you hit the ball much further. So I do think it's kind of ironic that you're playing a training mode to get better at a particular skill set, like putting or driving for instance, just for the sole purpose to then put points into that skill set to artificially improve it. Either way though, it just really shows you how much stuff there is to unlock here. I mean, it's outright overwhelming. It really is like the Time Splitters 2 of golf games when it comes to unlockable content. But at least in Time Splitters, you could beat most challenges in a first attempt and get a gold, if not a platinum medal. Here though, it'll take you multiple attempts, and even then you'll be lucky if you scrape by. Some of these new modes I also found really confusing, like this one here called High-Low. It says here a point is awarded to the highest ball in each pair. Pairs are made by comparing the highest ball of each team and then the next highest. Like, what the fuck does that even mean? The tour again shows off the absolutely insane golfing prowess the AI has, and even on the lowest difficulty, you will get absolutely steamrolled, with these guys being literal machines when it comes to putting and never missing. Yeah, I mean, God forbid the AI makes a single fucking error.
One word, nice putt.
Fuck you!
A lot of these new courses are just outright novelties as well, and the layouts and obstacles do seem designed to be purposefully frustrating. There's one set in a spooky graveyard, another one in the snow, and then one entire course is all of these completely different holes based off movie sets. Like Area 51, a medieval castle, a western, and then even weirder than that, the beaches of Normandy during D-Day, and what's more or less the Death Star trench run from Star Wars. These are definitely designed to be more frustrating than the others as well, like the one set on a rooftop where you've got to precisely hit the ball from roof to roof without it going over the edge. I do like to how the game gives you this new mechanic of the ghost ball, which shows this vision of where your currently aimed shot is going to land. Also, the inclusion of this new fast forward mechanic after hitting a ball is also really clever, so you don't have to sit there watching the ball land and roll in real time. The caddy beatings make a return too, all of which are pretty funny, though I do think the interface is actually even more confusing now as to when you're supposed to time your inputs, due to how large the icon along the bottom of the screen is now.
Bullseye! Now for the barber pole thump. Yeah!
And aside from that, you can now spend a beating token and alternatively compete in all of these little golf cart races, some of which are stupidly hard with the benefit of giving you a perfect shot for your next hit.
Good shot.
What I really appreciate is the fact that they brought back a lot of these returning golfers, with series veterans like Keller Miller, Harley, and Summer. By far the best returning character is Trixie and her boozed up cougar mum named Bunny. And I don't know what it is about this character, but something about these rich, bored, martini-swilling trophy wives that look like they jumped the pool boy's bones just to extract his life force just does something to me.
Okay, drunk stammering mother, I'll take my club now.
It's also just a better looking game in general, with improved character modeling and the courses looking a lot more detailed overall. Loading times are really brisk too, and all the motion captured animations have aged really well.
Hey, don't think I can't see you people snickering. I've heard plenty of large crowds in my day. Just ask anyone at my high school reunion.
It just captures the essence of that comfy aesthetic that console games back in the early 2000s used to really have. And the fact that it runs on the Renderware engine, which has been used in everything from Grand Theft Auto 3 through to Shadow the Hedgehog, adds to this unwritten sense of nostalgia.
Oh! You hit that guy! He shouldn't have been standing there.
Does it still piss me off to no end when I'm playing through it though? Yes, it does.
You will not make this putt.
And I lost count the amount of times I really had to use my self-control and not throw my Xbox controller across the room and through the goddamn window. I mean, I've been saying it this whole video, but it still rings true, and that's that these games are easy to pick up, but really fucking hard to master. And yeah, dog, Outlaw Golf 2 can still be incredibly frustrating. And it really does encapsulate that era where video game developers didn't give two shits about the player's time. But it also encapsulates an era where a dominatrix in white lingerie can beat up a man in a leather gimp suit and no one bats an eyelid.
Yeah!
Plus, it's really exciting when you can get one of those perfect holes, no pun intended, and land a sick putt to make a much needed birdie. overall, it's really just an improved version of that first game, with way more content and features added in, and it's kinda hard to fault on that level. It's just a bit of a shame that the AI still plays like Tiger Woods if he ever OD'd on Adderall.
Yeah, that's about how I would have sliced it.
Which brings us on to the final game in the Outlaw series, and that's Outlaw Tennis. Released for both the Xbox and the PS2, and probably the most sensible evolution where the franchise could have gone after golf and volleyball. I mean, it was either going to be that or Outlaw Curling. This is again another really solid little sports sim. Just with all the humor and the other content the series has really become known for. Mostly just women in revealing outfits and larger than life characters which really play on those popular archetypes, with Stephen Colbert now supplying all the commentary.
Hip hip hurrah. Okay, fine, I'll admit it. I was a cheerleader in college, but that doesn't make me gay.
And man, they really take the racial stereotypes to new levels here, with Shawnee again getting the absolute brunt of all the jokes.
This Navajo is the poster child for bipolar Native Americans. This buxom brave derives strength from her animal spirit, the bloodthirsty beaver. Pray she doesn't massacre anyone. Here's Shawnee.
Did he really say that?
One of the references here is so old that it makes me question if they really know what kind of demographic is even playing their games.
People start pollution. People can stop it.
Though I definitely appreciate the character Bruce in that ninja outfit, who more or less dresses like Sub-Zero. Plus, as you'd expect, you've got those returning characters like Summer and Natasha, and they all have those kind of animations that you just know the guys in the motion capture studio had way too much fun coming up with and recording.
The big woman still here?
I would kill for a taste of some good quality vodka.
They make fun of pretty much every single race, class, and gender. The kind of hilariously bad stuff that wouldn't ever fly by today's standards. But it's a fun reminder as to how little the industry took itself seriously back then.
Let's hear it for the reason I contracted jungle fever, Aphrodite.
As a tennis game, once you get over that initial learning curve of trying to come to grips with the control scheme, Outlaw Tennis again has the same formula of first learning the mechanics, secondly being fooled into thinking you're any kind of good at it, before thirdly the AI makes you humble again.
Make it stop!
It plays similar to Outlaw Volleyball, with the different face buttons affecting how you hit the ball, and serving and moving around the court again done with the left thumbstick.
Hey, stupid!
When in a rally, you can choose to either do a flat shot, a lob shot, a drop shot if you're up by the net, or just the tried and tested topspin. And holding down the buttons allows for more powerful hits. If you can time a serve just right, you'll do it at maximum power, and can combine all of this with the turbo shots when that meter is filled up. And again, there is a lot of strategy involved in all of this. Trying to position your opponent on one side of the court, for instance, and then trying to hit it where they're not.
The game.
There can be some really exciting rallies going on here, with there being more balls going back and forth than your mum sees at a frat party.
Love 15.
The tours are still really challenging, I mean, no surprise, but the bonus this time is that they finally included proper difficulty modes for all of these. So the AI is not going to ream you out the entire time, only like, 75% of it. You'll still see them doing some absolutely godlike returns and moves though, even on the so-called lowest difficulty.
Shoot me now!
But this is by far the most accessible game in the series yet.
With that shot, the match is over!
Outlaw Tennis also continues that trend of dozens of unlockables as well, and they've even somehow managed to take it even further this time, with there being even more customization for each character's appearance. Not only able to choose from one of two outfits, but also individually customize their top, bottom, shoes, hat, wristband, and even tennis racket. Some of the new course they've added in are just absolutely ludicrous. I mean, one is set on the top of a military aircraft carrier, there's another one set in an Arctic base, and even one being set in literal hell.
Don't worry, it's not the heat, it's the humidity.
What I really enjoyed the most about this one though were the drills, some of which were actually fun for a change, and most of which aren't infuriating to play through. Like knocking back all of these approaching butchers before they can mutilate a poor defenseless cow. Another one has you practicing your serves to hit explosive mines, and by far my favourite is where you've got to fight back against a robot, deflecting tennis balls back to knock off its health bar. And an honourable mention has to go to that one mode where you're flipping over panels on the floor of the court to unlock some juicy artwork.
I appreciate what you're showing me right now.
So yeah, it only took them 4 games, but they finally made this mode enjoyable. Yeah, thank fuck. Some of the new modes do seem a bit weird though, like a bunch of the developers got hammered one night and tried to think up the dumbest shit possible. For instance, one mode you see frequently has a blocker going back and forth across the net at random speeds, which is like this ever-changing obstacle that constantly fucks over both you and your opponent, and it really is just a bit of a mess at times. Because not only is it just completely random, but it seems even the AI doesn't know how to react to it at times, and will often just either hit it or serve a ball right into it without a second thought. Another one of the tour modes is a 2v1, which is what it sounds like. It's you against 2 other players, and I have no idea how you're even supposed to beat this one at all. I actually found too that the doubles mode is significantly tougher than the singles mode, simply because it's really hard to coordinate what that second player is going to be doing. Still though, I'd say that this is the game that I had the most fun with, outside of Outlaw Golf 2, which was a close second. Just kind of feels like a culmination of everything that Hypnotics have learned with the previous entries. And it really just feels like the most honed Outlaw experience yet, really feeling like all of their ducks were in a row by this point. Which is kind of weird having said that, considering it's the lowest rated game in the entire franchise when you look at those aggregate scores.
Love 15.
For me though, it's the perfect combination of TNA, poorly aged jokes, combined with an actual playable and in-depth sports sim. And at the end of the day, I ain't got nothing against Outlaw Tennis. Just nobody reminds Stephen Colbert that he actually took part in this, because with the way that his audience is nowadays, it might get him cancelled.
I call that one the Pearl Harbor Special.
That's rad.
This was the last game Hypnotics worked on too, because according to what information I could find online, after this they got absorbed into Electronic Arts, and then they worked on boring sports games like NFL Madden and the Tiger Woods PGA series. Basically what they were already doing, just without all the crude humour, sexual innuendo, and all that other stuff that makes those sports games, actually worth playing. I don't think any of these games are any kind of masterpiece though, and I highly doubt we'll see the Outlaw Collection remastered anytime soon either, but they offer up a fun enough retrospective glimpse to the time when you could combine a sports game with incredibly racist jokes and get away with it. And if you've got a sense of humour and a working Xbox, they are absolutely worth checking out.